Hi guys, and welcome to this Model Engineers Workshop. Today in the workshop, we're going to make a start on the valve chests. Come on. Hi guys, I'm the chef. Today in the workshop, we're going to make a start on the valve chests to go with the cylinders. So, as you can see just here, I just spent a merry couple of hours with the power hacksaw. Two nice big chunks of cast iron again. These are just under 30 deep, and they are 95 that way, and they are 110 that way. And by the time we finish, this will be down to 25 thick by 102 with a boss at one end, and they'll only be 75 deep. So that then, and with a big hole in the middle and lots of little holes for the studs that hold them down to the cylinders, and a couple of holes for dowel pins. 1, 2, right. I'll get one of these into the vise on the mill and we'll start cleaning them up. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll be back. Okay, so there we are. Got the big block, one of them in the vise. Cutter's just about in position. I'll just need to move across a little bit and touch off, back out, put a cut on and go across. As I've said before, my power hacksaw doesn't cut straight. It's a very old thing. It's probably worn out and knackered, but never mind. It does the job. Saves me pushing a hacksaw for an hour and a half. So, yep, let's get this machine going and I'll touch off and I'll make a couple of cuts and I'll edit the rest out. You've seen me do it before. You saw me do it with the cylinder blocks. All right, here goes, guys. It's going to get noisy as it always does. Hang on. Almost there now. There's touch off. Let's back that away. Nice, steady. Let's put a 0 on the table. Let's just take a point to just see how uneven we are. Here goes. Hold tight. Yep, that didn't take off much. Let's go another 2. All right, there you can just see there, just starting to take off that corner now. Right, you get the idea. You've seen me do this before. I'll stop it there and I'll bring you back when I get this surface cleaned up. All right, back in a bit, guys. Okay, guys, so here we go. Nicely machined. As much as you can see the lines, there's nothing there to feel. That's a nice smooth surface. Valve chest, I don't know if you can actually see that. Yeah, valve chest, there you go. That's my reference surface, so that was the one up against the fixture in the vise. So now I'm going to flip this that way to keep that reference up against the hard jaw. You can just about see I've got some parallels in there, which these are all sitting on. I've just cleaned them off so that we can put this straight back in. Just get that little piece of aluminium wire out. And right, so this is going to go back into the vise, clean off this manufactured surface. This is 26 thick. I need to get down to 25. So when I get that done, I'll bring you back. Righto, guys. So there we are. I've cleaned off this top surface now. And while in the same setting, I've cleaned off this edge, this end as well. So you can see the lines as I'm going down. They are just, you can just feel them. I will probably just run that on a piece of emery paper, just so it's not in the final piece when we get this valve chest finished. So far we have 3 edges done. We've got the bottom, the top in this case, and this edge. This is still the reference edge up against the fixed jaw. What I'm going to do now, whip this out, put it in the vise, quick run round up with a file, just gently taking any burrs off. I'm going to flip it again this way, so we keep the reference face up against the fixed jaw. That way, when I get that one finished off and to length, 102.5 is the actual dimension we're looking for. We will then have 1, 2, 3, 4 faces based on that reference surface. Only then will I use one of these ends to clean off that reference surface. Once that's cleaned off, then we'll use the other. We'll check, of course, to make sure everything's square, which it should be. And then we'll then spin it around again, and then we can take off about 20 mil off this edge, because we've got to create a block that's 102 by 75. At the moment, this is about 107.5 by 95. Yes, so we need 102 by 75. This is 107.5 by 95. So once we've cleaned off this reference edge, we'll remeasure so we know what we've got to take off. Spin the block around, use the other end face, that would be one of this one probably, so that we have these faces based off the reference face that we have up against the hard jaw. Right, I'm going to take this out, get it filed, get the burrs filed off it, flip it around, and get that surface finished and get it down to length. And when I'm there, I'll bring you back. Okay, guys, see you in a bit. Okay, guys, so there we go. That's the other face done. You can see it there all nicely machined off. There's the reference face, the one that says valve chest on it. So now it's the first time we're going to work off one of our machine surfaces. So I'm going to put it in this way, and we're going to clean up the reference face, making sure my parallels are well short, because I'm going to be coming down this edge. And just drop this in as well. A little piece of soft aluminium wire. Could use copper, soft iron wire I suppose as well, but something softer anyway. This is a bit out of an old power cable that was left lying around when we had this house built. So I've got a couple of meters of this. Probably very good quality aluminium. Now, I'm tapping that down onto the parallels, get my rubber mallet, tap it down, tighten it up, check the parallels, see if they're loose. Still a little bit loose. Tap it a bit harder, or a bit more often. That's it, parallels are tight. Tighten the vise. Check the parallels. Always check. If your parallels are tight, then everything will be fine. Okay, I won't really show you the machining, just wanted to explain what I was doing. All right, guys, back in a tick. So, edge number 5, face number 5. So this was the reference face. We're now using our second reference face. So now I'm going to whip this out the vise, deburr it, flip it, so we stay with this reference face now against the hard jaw. I'm not going to start using this one, that one there, because then you could be building in errors if you work just to 2, or you're better off working from 1, but yeah, you're squaring stuck up, so you can't. So you're going to have to work from 2. So you work from 1 and then your second reference face for as little as possible. Right, so this will come out, quick deburr. I'll flip it, so flip it over so that that face is now still up against the fixed jaw. Right, then I'll clean that off, but I'll show you the setup for that because we've got to take quite a bit off. So we're basically going to go down in large chunks, and I'll video that for a bit for you, just to show you what I mean. All right, guys, back in a tick once I've deburred this and reset the vise. Here goes. Right, so deburred, flipped it, so our reference face is still at the back here up against the fixed jaw. I think you can just about see, if I shade it maybe, yeah, just there, just by my thumb, you can see I've just put a scratch mark to give me an idea where I've got to stop. I've touched off against here, and I've touched off against the top. I just need to put the cut on. So we're going to go down 0.5 mil, go across, go down 0.5 mil, go across. Take a lot of this off in one operation, remeasure, and then we'll just do the final finishing cut. We'll just sneak up on it. So I'll just video one cut so you can see what I mean, and then I'll stop the camera there and I'll bring you back when I'm done. All right, here goes. Going to get noisy, guys, as it always is with this machine. So here we go. go. There you can see already a little step there. I'm just outboard of my little scratch line, which of course is on the 75mm mark, which is where we need to be. 102.5 by 75 when we're finished. So I'll get this done. There we go. And I'll bring you back when we get it to site. I'll probably be on the bench by then. Okay, so pause it there, guys. Hang on. Righto, guys. So there we go. First one done. 75 by 102.5 by 25. This is what we started with. Quite a bit larger, as you can see. Took a fair chunk off the length, reasonable chunk off the height. Man, they're heavy. And spin that around a bit more for you. You can see that the width is also down quite a bit. So I'm now going to spend the next hour and a half, 2 hours, probably, getting this one down to that size. But before I do that, a word from the wise. At the beginning of this video, I said that it took me an hour and a half, hour and 3/4 on the power hacksaw to get these two chunks cut out. In a momentary lapse of concentration and stupidity, guess what I did? I saw a bit of something on the machine. I thought, oh, I can clean that off. Managed to stick my finger into a moving machine, not on the blade, of course. Thankfully, that would have been a little bit more serious, but one very bruised finger. Are you going to zoom? Can you focus for me? Yeah, there you go. Finger got slightly squeezed. There's nothing broken in there. Finger is still is fairly swollen. If I put it next to the one from the left hand, you can see that it is quite a bit thicker. Kind of even back to as far as here, but you know, still bend it. There's nothing seriously wrong in there. I dare say either that black will grow out, or I might lose the fingernail and we'll grow a new one. But the word from the wise is keep your mind on what you're doing and don't be stupid and put your finger into a moving machine. It could have been a lot worse. Got off lucky, but it's a lesson to be learned. Right, so on that very somber note, I'll get this one done. Matter of seconds for you, matter of hours for me. Right, guys, I'll be back very, very shortly. Here we go. Righto, guys, so there we go. Got the second one done now. As you can see, I've even started doing the marking out. Both ends, because we've got to have a valve spindle going through. One end has a valve spindle, a tail support. The other end has the gland, of course. Now, as you can see now, I've done some rough markings on here, so I know what I'm doing. Left valve chest, right valve chest, they're handed, so we can't make any two parts the same on this one. So what we're going to do is, at the end of the day, we've got to have a circular boss here, and it goes back 12.5mm, so half an inch. And then the rest of it becomes the valve chest itself, with lots of holes all around the edges. A couple of holes for hold downs, and a honking great hole in the side of it, in the top of it, rather, all the way through, and somewhere down the side here. You can see there and there. I've blew them up, I haven't marked them in yet. We have the pipe where the live steam actually comes into the cylinder chests. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to get one of these mounted up in the forward jaw. We're going to mount this face, so the face with the boss, up against the forward jaw, so we can put the hole in the other end. And then once we've got that one in, we're going to put that face up against the forward jaw. Very carefully put a center in here. And then we're going to put a live center in as well, because this is a big overhanging intermittent cut. So we'll just support this end of the cast iron with a live center while we turn down that boss, which then of course will get a thread on the outside of it. Yep, and then once we get that done, we're back into the mill. We'll get the all the hold down holes put in, then we'll start putting the big hole in the middle for the valve itself. And probably actually before we do any of those, we'll get these side holes in, which need to be tapped 1/4 BSP. This one and this one, they need to be, well, that needs to be tapped. Well, the drawing calls for 1/2 inch by 26 ME model engineer thread. This calls for an internal 1/2 inch by 26 ME thread. So I'm just investigating what else I can do at the moment, because those taps and dies are damn expensive, and it just seems a bit of a rip-off. There has to be a metric alternative. Oops, sorry, I just kicked the camera. There has to be a metric or some other alternative to use, because that is just ridiculous. I would be looking at 55, 58, maybe 60 bucks for a taper tap, a plug tap, and a die. And I need to do 6 holes, 8 holes. Just seems, I know I'm going to have them forever, but there has to be a modern day alternative. These ME threads are driving me to despair. Okay, guys, I'll get this one in the forge, or get it centered up. You've seen me do that before, so when I get that far, I'll bring you back. Righto, guys, so got this first one into the forge jaw. Got the little center punch there, all lined up, hopefully. Got it to within 0.01, that's the best I can do. Maybe just slightly less, going by the DCI. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a center drill into there, and then we're going to go through a series of drills. I've got 5, 8.5, 10.5, then we're going to have to get a little boring bar. And so we're going to be boring blind. We're going to go fair way, give a bit of room. I've got to get this up to 11.7 so that we can tap it 1/2 by 26 BSB, which is British Standard Brass. So yet another form of thread required. So I've got to buy another set of taps and dies. Right, I'll get this going. So, let's have a look. We are going to be roughly that deep, which is going to be what, about 40 mil? Yeah, which is plenty deep for what we need. Right, so I'll get that drill out the way so I don't stab myself. Get set up for the with the boring bar, and I'll bring you back. See you in a tick. Right, so got the boring bar in now. Unfortunately, this is the smallest one I've got, so really I need to be taking 0.5 mil out of this hole in one go, just so that I can get the boring bar to fit. So we'll just go very carefully when we start getting here. If necessary, I can come out and go a bit more if I have to. We'll just take our time, pieces in nice and tight. Again, about 200 RPM, and I'll probably hand wind this for a little while just so I can feel how it's going. And after that, we will go to using the power feed when we get closer to 11.7. I've also got this distance here to be about 25 mil, so that we stop well short. So long as we stop without contacting the face of the tool holder, we're at the right depth. So we can leave that alone and hopefully and get this hole done. All right, let's get this first bit done. See how we go. Here goes. are starting to go inside now. Just got to watch out for this back corner. If it starts making contact, we need to come back out. Or if we think it's going to make contact, we just have to have a slightly deeper cut. Yeah, that looks like it's going to touch. Right, let's wind it back out. Put on a bit more of a feed, a bit more cut depth, and let's have another look. This part will be easy, of course, because we just take a bit out of here already. I think we're going to clear. Looks like it. Looks like we're good. Right. Just going to go in and out a few times. Let the bore clear. Boring into a blind hole, of course, so that explains why I measured the bit of the boring bar that we're going to use. I'm just going to take my time. There we are. Probably about halfway down the hole now. Just going to go literally a millimetre at a time. Move that up a bit. There we go. Another reason for going so deep with the drilling is it'll give the chips from this boring operation somewhere to go. So we're not fighting the bottom end of the hole filled up with chips. We're getting very close to where we need to be. Let me just clear that out. We'll have one more go at it. Get another mill down there, something like that. Move the saddle up, give it more travel. And here we go. Right, that gives us probably about 24 mil travel. So, there we go. Right. I'll get that measured and I'll get back to you. Hang on. Righto guys, there we go. So I was just lucky there. I got up to 11.8. Pure chance, but hey, I'll take it. Got the other 1/2 inch by 26 TPI tap in the drill chuck now. So I'm just going to pull this round by hand till it gets started and probably just keep going. See how tough it gets. It's going to be pretty tough. There we go. I'm not going to lock the tail side down because I'm just going to push it in by hand, and eventually we'll get to using the plug tap for this size, as you can see there. Can you see? Yes, you can. 1/2 inch by 26. and it says drill 11.5. The drawing says 11.7, so I'm slightly above that, so it'll make the tapping a bit easier. Look. And what's it going to have in here? It's only going to have a gland nut in here. I know it's not going to have the tail, the valve spindle tail guide, so it's not a critical part. It's just to block it off, really. Right, so let's get this cutting. I'm pushing the tailstock in with my right hand, and I can see a little bit starting to come out. We're moving in. Yeah, we're starting to cut. Yeah, you can see some chips here just on the tap. This is nice and easy at the moment. We're not going to be approaching anywhere near full thread depth, so I'm just going to take my time, pull this round by hand, but we're definitely going in. Tailstock is slowly being dragged forward as well as being pushed, and now you understand why I went a long way. It's not a critical depth how far I went, because eventually most of it's going to get machined away and we'll end up with good threads all the way. Right, so we're approaching full depth now. Yep, okay, that's gone dead on me. Right, so let's just tighten that up a little bit more, if it will. Let's see if we can. Is that the tap just slipping, or are we at the bottom of the hole? It feels like we're at the bottom of the hole. Right, so let's wind that back out. This time just pulling with the right hand up to about there. Right, let's see how deep we went. We need, at the end of the day, we only need 15 mil of good thread. So I'm just pulling with the right hand, just so that once we're clear, it'll come free. There we go. Is that about 20 mil? Let's have a quick look. Get the old Veronese out. I'll take a look, see. What we got? Yeah, we're not far off. 18, 19 mil. That's all we need. That's good. Can always run the tap through it again later, once we've taken out the valve chest itself, the hollow in the middle. And right, let's put this plug tap in. There we go. This will take the threads down a bit further. You know, full depth threads anyway, not the taper thread has an awful lot of taper on it. As you can see, the taper, the full threads didn't start to about there. Can you see? Yeah, there you go. There we are. So this will then take us a lot closer. So we'll just gently get these threads to engage. So we're not crossing the threads. Again, pushing with the right hand. Now we're moving. Yes, we're moving. Okay, right. Now we can skip ahead a bit. Start the cut again now. Still pushing. Oh yeah, we're definitely cutting something now. And again, the tap together with the work and the chuck and the lathe and everything will tell us when we've gone deep enough. It'll jam. So we just got to be careful how we go. Oh, it must be getting close. That's getting tight. Oh, still got a bit of life in it. Okay, still going. Oh, this is good. Going a long way. So we'll have some nice clean threads, even at the very bottom. Oop, hang on. No, okay. This is hard work, even though I've got the lathe out of gear. Oh, there we go. That'll do us. Right, let's... no, don't loosen that off just yet. Right, there we go. So let's wind this back out. I'll take this out of the chuck now because I've got to reverse it anyway. Okay, I just need to tighten that up a bit more. It's just starting to slide even in reverse. There we go. Doesn't want to play ball. Right, okay. Open the chuck, get that off there. I'll get this out. Get into the vise, get the tap wrench on it. There we go. And we'll get that out. I've got to spin this now. Now you understand, of course, at this end, I don't know if you can see yet. There's my lines. We've got to turn a boss. Let me get that back at that end. There we go. At this end, we've got to turn a boss. So that was the logic in doing this end first, because this is flat and I was able to set it up against parallels going across the chuck face. I've still got a flat face here. So when I set up at the other end, zoom you out, be easier. So when I set up at this end, then I've still got the flat face to use it on with the parallels so that we can get this all set up nice and easy. Right, I'll get this out, get it into the vise, whip the tap out, probably show you the thread, a little short snippet of video there. And then I'll get set up for the other end. All right, guys, back in a tick. Righto, guys, so there we go. Good few minutes further on. Got the centered up in the forejaw. Just going to make sure the lathe's on the right speed. What do I have it on? Yeah, B3. Yeah, there we go. There we are. Gearbox is engaged again. Right, so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be putting a good size center in there. And then I'm going to go across to the live center. Put that in instead of the drill chuck. Put that into place in the end of the iron. Just to hold it, because we've got to take out 1/2 inch and turn this down to a circular boss. I'll check the dimension on that. But it's going to be somewhere just under 1/2 inch, probably about 12 mil, because we've got to thread it 1/2 inch by 26 exterior. The other one, of course, was 1/2 inch by 26 interior. Once we've got all that done and the thread on there, then and only then can we start putting the hole through for what will be the wheel side of the valve spindle. The other end, of course, is the front loco. This is the back. That's the front. All right. Gearbox is engaged. Chuck's clear. It's not going to hit anything. Let's get this done, guys. Here goes. Helps we've turned the lathe on, doesn't it? Click. There we go. Here goes. Just going to stop the lathe. I don't know if you noticed. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing anyway. That could have been a nasty mistake. I left the parallels in there at the back. So if it'd be going any faster, they'd have been flying all over the workshop. Right. Let's just clear that. Let's do that again. Clear some chips so we can see how far in we are. I want a decent sized center so that the live center and the tailstock will have a good surface to run in. Go a bit bigger still. We're only just getting to the taper part. Take it steady. A bit bigger still. This is all going to get drilled away later on. There we go. Yep, that'll do us. Right. Let's get that drill chuck out. Put the live center back in. There we go. Let's bring this up. And make sure we've got enough room to work, of course. Have to bring that back a bit further, I think. There we go. We should be right. Right, I'll get this set up, guys, and I'll bring you back. Give us a tick. Right, guys, so there we go. Tool in the tool post, live centre locked down, and in the centre we just drilled. I had to turn the compound slide. You can just see it here. Normally I would have it parallel with the bed. I've had to turn it just so, because it was fouling the tailstock. So just a random angle just to make sure it clears. So every time I turn this compound in, it won't actually go in what the compound reads. It'll just go in, yeah, the sine or cotangent or where, I don't know. Some trigonometry dimension anyway. But that's all we need at the moment, because all we have to do is we have to turn a lot of this off. Yes, I could hacksaw it off and make life easier, I suppose. But we'll see how this goes. If it seems a bit risky at the time, then I might just do that, because it would be easy enough to reset it. Except for the fact that I'd have 20 minutes, another 20 minutes of... yeah, we're in contact there, right, okay. Resetting the center onto the center of the piece back into the lathe. All right, guys. So again, I'll do a little bit of a cut of this and then I'll bring you back. We're just making sure we're all clear. We're not going to be cutting straight off. No, we're not. Probably do the first cut by hand and then we'll start looking at going onto the power feed. Here goes. Just wound the compound in a little bit, see if we make contact. Yep, there we go. Because this is such a small piece compared to the cylinder blocks, that explains why I'm using the sensor, just to give it a little bit more support. The last thing I'd need is for it to be dragged out of the chuck. That would ruin a good piece of cast iron and I'd have to go out and get some more. Feeding fairly fast. It's all rough and cuts at the moment, nothing too fine or fancy. Alright guys, this is getting boring as batshit even for me. So I'll clear that cut and stop it. Let's have a look. Can you actually see anything cut in there? Yeah, we're just taking off dust really at the minute. I'll bring you back when I'm done. Alright, see you in a bit, guys. Righto guys, so got the body of the valve, this first left-hand valve chest, down to 90.1 millimeters. As you can see, the boss here is starting to form. Change that tool to one that will allow me to have a little bit more finer control, a little bit longer point, keeps me away from the tailstock. So hopefully we can get this down to 20 mil, which is basically down to, when the boss is down to just forming at this level, then that'll be 20 mil. So as you can see, it's a bit all lumpy bumpy, but took a long time to get there. So let's see if we can get this one done. Probably do the first couple of cuts by hand and then we'll probably go on to the power feed, but let's see how we go. Okay, here goes guys. Hopefully we can get right into that corner. Sure looks like it. Again, the compound is on an angle, so it's not direct reading, it's just see how far I go. We're starting to clean up a little bit. Then we're getting a nice finish. Righto guys, you get the idea. I'll bring you back. Right, there we go. Down to 20 mil. You can see it's just under the surface there of the top of the valve chest. Nice surface on that. Right, I'll just reset. We're going to be drilling through, going quite a long way. Drilling that so we can ream it 6mm. Then we're going to go through all our drills again till we get up to the 10.5 that I've got. And then we're going to bore out to 11.7 for 16mm depth, and then we're going to be tapping it 1/2 inch by 26 BSB. All right, guys, give me a minute or two while I reset. Here goes. Righto, guys. So that's all turned, taking away the life center, so because we don't need that anymore. This is our 5mm drill. So we already had the center in, which is where the life center was running anyway. We're now going to drill, I don't know about this deep, about 40. We've got to get through about 30 because the cavity is actually quite thick. At least that anyway. So this is a 5. I'm then going to put a 5.6 through, which is the reaming size for M6. We won't be reaming it just yet because we're going to drill and bore out to a depth of 20, going to 11.7, which of course is for the 1/4 by 26. Can you see that? Yeah, the 1/4 by 26. Sorry, 1/2 by 26 thread that we need in this gland here. So there'll be an 8mm, a 10.5, and then I'll change the boring head. Right, let's get these couple of holes drilled, and we'll get to the boring head. And let's see how we go. Make sure we got the lathe turned on. There we go. Click. There it is. As always, quick rotate on the chuck to make sure it's not touching anything. Speeds are all the same. Right, let's do this. Here goes. This is really too slow for cast iron. Should be going a little faster on the rotations than this. But as I say, this is in the lathe and it's going to make the lathe dance all over the shop. Literally, because it's going to be out of balance. Right, I think we must be plenty deep at that. Just put my finger there as a rough marker. Oh, goodness me. How deep is that? We're about 35. Could actually use to go a little deeper. Let's get this changed out to the 5.6mm now. Alright, here we go. Lock the tailstock down. This, of course, is nice, easy drilling. clear that out. Right, that's the bottom of there now. Let's just go a little bit further while we can. Actually, no, we don't need to. Right. Right, I'll change over the drills again and I'll bring you back. Right, so now the 8.5mm drill, little blue line. Just going to stop when that blue line gets to the surface of the gland here. That's going to be roughly my 20 deep. And then we'll swap that out to the 10.5, do the same, and we'll then I'll put the boring bar in. Right, when I get that far, I'll bring you back. Right, guys, so there we go. Did the 8.5 drill to 20 deep, did the 10.5 to 20 deep. I've changed out to the boring bar. As before, I've set this boring bar to about 21mm. So when I start getting really close to this face here, I know I'm going to be really close and I can just stop boring it then. Right, so got a cut on. I've already put the cut on. Because of course we've got to be very careful that we don't start interfering with the back edge here. If we do, we just need to put a little bit more on. All right, guys, we'll be feeding this one by hand, so let's do this. Here goes. Let's just clear those chips away so we can see if we're going to go into the hole or not. I think we're just going to make it. Sure looks like it. Okay. So we'll just turn down. Nice and steady. I will come out, clear those chips. Back in we go. Probably about 4 or 5mm to go now. Down to about 2. There we go. Change in tone tells me I'm starting to cut more at the bottom where the taper on the drills are. All right, guys, let me measure this up and we'll get this out to 11.7 if we're not already there already. Right, guys, so that's actually got me to 11.8, which is actually what it says on the shank of the tap there. It says use 11.8 drill, so we're actually more in line with what the tap says, not what the drawing says. So as before, just get this to go as far as it can. Then I'm going to turn the chuck by hand and push the tap until we get it. I don't think we'll get the full depth, but we'll get some nice straight threads going so that we can then finish it off in the vise with the tap wrench. Are we actually moving? Yes, we are. So I'll just take that back a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we're definitely moving. It would help if I took the lathe out of gear, I suppose, wouldn't it? It wouldn't make it such a heavy going. That's better. Now I'm still applying pressure onto the tailstock so it doesn't have to drag itself. There we go. Right. Oh yeah, there we are. We've hit bottom on that. Right, let's wind that out. And what's next? Right, well, before I do the plug tap to get these threads to go all the way down. Oh, they look nice. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you can. Just give me a second. Hang on. Can I bring you down anymore? No, I can't really. No. Oh yeah, you can just about make out there's some some threads in the bottom of the hole there. Right, well, before I go through with the plug top, I'll get the reaming done. And I'll bring you back. Let me set up for the reaming. Right, so that's the reaming done, guys. Actually, just thinking about it now, I actually forgot to push record on that. So take my word for it, that bit, a little bit of hole back there is now reamed to 6mm. Yeah, bugger, never mind. Right, so I've just got the plug tap started on the thread there again, just pulling the chuck by hand, pushing the tailstock. And if this gets too hard, too tough, then of course I'll just whip it out and put it in the vise. And oh, that's getting tight. It's getting tough for her. And I'll finish it by hand. I'm going to finish that by hand, guys. Right. I'll get you back on the bench and show you what it looks like. Okay, give us a tick. Righto, guys. So there we are. That's it in place on top of the cylinder block. You can see the threads in the end there. And stay put. There we are. That's where that's going to live eventually, once we get the cylinders all finished up. Now, this is turning out to be a longer video than I expected, so I'm going to turn it into 2. So, yep, I'll see you back in a second. We'll make this into 2. We'll put the cavity and all the rest of the holes in the next one. All right, guys, give us a second to reset. Here goes. Righto, guys, I'll bring this video to a close. It's going to be a 45-minute video, I think, is this one. So, rather than go on and just waiting for you to catch up with me or me to catch up with you, one or the other, I'll get back onto the machines, get this, get the right-hand valve chest machined out, and you'll see them both together again in the next video. All right, guys, so I'll finish this video like I always do. If you can find it in your heart and soul, give me a like, a subscribe. Watch us, please. If you've got this far, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, give me a like. Anybody who's got this far also, it's the likes that actually matter the most. They put this video in front of other like-minded people. All right, guys. So this is a chef saying, see you later.